Hi, my name is Greg Medore and I'm with the Oily Crafter. Today we'll be talking about recovering a hotspot that is stuck at the initializing screen. We hope you enjoy this video. This video will be specific to WPSD, although the same techniques will apply to a hotspot running Pi-Star, but the resource links for downloading the image will be different. So the first place you want to go to is you want to go to this location right here. If you type in WPSD, it'll come up with w0chp.radio site. And if we very great documentation. Chip has done an outstanding job with this. So first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to download these images. Now in this case I'm running this on a Raspberry Pi type of device. In this case this is a BridgeCom device that we're working on getting back up and running. So in this case I would want to click on this link. Now I did go ahead and download that, so we're not waiting on it, but you can use that. You literally click right here, and for me I have gigabit internet. It took about 25 seconds to download 761 megabytes. Now if you want to download the one that is specific to BridgeCom SkyBridge Max Plus, then you would click on this link here. That one is about 879 meg, and again with the speed internet I have, it took about 25 seconds. Of course, the amount of time to download will depend on the speed of your internet service you have to your location. Now, to image the card, you'll also need to have a micro SD card. And either a micro SD card built into the laptop, or you will need a USB to micro SD card reader. The micro SD card needs to be a minimum of 8 gig in size, although you may find that the 32 gig micro SD cards are cheaper to purchase than the 8 gig ones. These cards should be class 10 rated card. That has to do with the speed and throughput of the card itself. Here's one card that I've had particularly good luck with. There are several others that out there, but again, want class 10 speed on the card. So you'll also need, by the way, I'm running a Windows 11 based computer to perform these steps on here. So you will also need to download and install one of the following programs. Bellina Etcher is a software that you can use to image the card, or you can use a Raspberry Pi OS imager. You can use that one as well, or you can also download a Win32 disk imager. I don't necessarily have a preference for one or the other. I will tell you that Bellina Etcher is the one that I tend to lean toward, but for all intents and purposes, it really doesn't matter which one you use there. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and run that software. I've already downloaded that software, and we'll get that software up and running here. Alright, so flash from file. Basically what I need to do is I need to point to the files that I downloaded. The files that, let's see, I need to come back to here and I need to figure out which one of these is the right one here. This one is SkyBridge Max file, and neither one of those, downloads, SkyBridge Max. Click on that one and I'll open that file, and then as you can see I've already here's my USB to micro SD adapter. I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug that into a free USB slot on my computer here. Okay, as you can see it popped up to SDHC card. So right now I can hit flash. Now, as you can see, this one's actually going fairly quickly. I found that the Win32 disk imager tends to be a little bit slower than the Bellina etcher, for example. Raspberry Pi imager, that one is very quick as well. So normally, if this was going to take several minutes to run this, what would happen is I would actually pause this video and then come back to it when it's done. But as you can see right now, it's moving along at a pretty good clip. It's just decompressing the file at this point, and then once it finishes decompressing the file, it will begin writing that to the device itself. So now it's going to flash the card, and as you can see, that's going to take about 3 minutes or so to finish writing to the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, as you can see, we're under 30 seconds now to finish flashing the card. So we'll show this last little bit here of flashing it, and we will go from there. Oh, now it wants to validate the card. But as you can see, in validation, that's a good thing. Validating the image, make sure there are no errors in writing it to the SD card. Some of the SD cards, based on the manufacturer, you'll find that some of them, their quality control is not perhaps as good as it should be. But it's always good to validate, make sure you don't have any errors. That way you're not trying to troubleshoot an issue that's not really an issue. It's based on bad media. Alright. One of the other things you'll notice here on Bellina Etcher is if I wanted to do another one, I could go in and I could put another micro SD card in there and it would be perfect. Now, one of the things I want to show you is notice one of the things Bellina Etcher does for you that Win32 disk imager does not is it will disconnect that USB drive and that with the USB adapter with the micro SD card. This is important because if it's mounted and you pull the disk and the adapter out, you could corrupt the micro SD card just doing that. In this case, Bellina Etcher dismounted it, and as opposed to Win32 disk imager, you have to remember to do that. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close this. So again, that didn't take much time at all. So I do want to show you the different websites. Here's the Bellina Etcher where you can download it. Here's the Raspberry Pi one where you can download the Raspberry Pi imager, and again the Win32 disk imager right here where you can download that. Okay. Now the other thing that we're going to need is if you're planning on loading this using Wi-Fi to connect your hotspot, then you would need to use this WPSD Wi-Fi configuration generator. It generates what's called a WPA supplicant file, and that has to be placed in the boot volume of the card. So literally you would plug in your SSID. It is case sensitive, so make sure that whatever the SSID is for your unit, you would need to make sure that is uppercase and lowercase matches. Passphrase, that is case sensitive. Indicate the United States. Here's the default. You would generate the config file, and when you generate the config file, there it would say download that config file. So right here you would hit click download this config file, and that's the config file there. That basically what you would do is you would drop that in the boot folder. Now in my particular case, I don't necessarily need to do that because I plug mine into Ethernet. But the way that works is if I unplug that, if I plug that unit back in, and I go into the boot volume right here, I would literally take that WPA supplicate file and drag and drop it into this folder, and that's what I would do. Wait for it to copy, and then in this particular case, I would have to make sure that I eject this before I remove it. That would prevent corruption there. All right, so at this point, one of the things I wanted to mention, on these SkyBridge hotspots, they do have some different models. The older models are based on Raspberry Pi 3 technology. This is based on Raspberry Pi 4. How do you know that? Well, if you look here on the end, you'll see this one has the Ethernet port, has two blue USB-A ports. Those are USB 3. And then you have two USB 2 ports right here. Right? Also, you can look right here, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is a USB-C power port rather than a micro USB, which is what was used on the Raspberry Pi 3 boards. All right, so at this point, I'm going to come back here to the desktop, make sure that is removed there, and we're going to take the USB adapter out. We've got a micro SD card. Now, one of the things that you want to do is you want to take that. See how you're looking at the back of this. You want to take that micro SD card. You should be able to read the words on the micro SD card. Plug it in carefully into the back of that, and then plug in your power supply for this unit. Now, one of the things that I want you to notice is that it is very important that you make sure that you're using a good quality power supply. If you're not, that's one of the very common problems that people have with these is they buy a very cheap power supply, and it doesn't work well because it doesn't have enough power. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hook this up, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I've got my hotspot all connected up, and at this point it's in the default image configuration. So now what I need to do is I need to restore the backup that I had, thank goodness, had previously taken. So in order to do that, I've got to determine what IP address. I've got to be able to log into the hotspot itself. So I can do that in one of several ways. I can log into the router from my home network, and I can look in the DHCP table for a host named Pi-Star. Or I can go out and I can download some advanced IP scanner, or I can use Angry IP scanner. And basically I would scan my network, and again I'm looking for a host. It's called Pi-Star, right? So in this particular case, what I can do, another thing that I can do is I can type in Pi-Star .local and hit enter, and it should bring up, there you go, brings up my device. Now you'll notice that, guess what, I don't have, this isn't configured and set up, but the good news is that I have a backup that I can restore. So in this case, I'm going to click on the admin tab, and we're right here in our notes. I'm going to click on the admin tab. I'm going to type in Pi-Star Raspberry, RASPBERRY, and then I'm going to click sign in. and that is a default password set by the team that developed WPSD. So now we're going to go into click on Advanced, and we're going to click on, once that comes up, we're going to click on Backup and Restore, and we're going to click on Choose File right here, and then we're going to come back here to Downloads, and in this case we're going to point to this WPSD config file. We're going to click Open. Notice it's right here, and then we're going to click on Restore. What this is doing is this is taking the previous backup that I had made, and it is restoring that file back to the hotspot itself. Now this hotspot, it will reboot when it's all said and done. It will reboot. Notice the restoration didn't take hardly any time at all. Oh, it said there was an update available, so I went ahead and hit update there. It did not automatically reboot by itself, I guess. So Chip and the team did a great job on making this much easier to perform and manage updates, etc. It will automatically, that's what I love about WPSD as opposed to Pi-Star, is it automatically manages and installs those updates for you as long as you leave the thing powered on and connected. So the reason I'm leaving this in here and not pausing and then coming back to it when it's done is I want to show you to see just how quickly these services, etc., how quickly they are restored and these processes run for updates, for example. Okay, it's completely performed its update. So in this particular case, what it hasn't done is I need to go in to admin, and just because I've made all these changes, I'm going to go into power and I'm going to tell it to reboot. Just because, my opinion, it needs to be, you need to refresh everything after performing all those steps. So this does take about 90 seconds. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and I will come back when this is back up again. So we're back after the reboot here, and I just want you to notice that several things have changed. I've got my my unique configuration is in here. And notice it has my call sign as opposed to the no call, the host name, because I have some other Pi-Stars that I have configured. I wanted to, I named this one Pi-Star 3. So notice the host name has changed. So the web browsing session that I had up before was no longer valid, but this is the one for the hotspot after the reimage. Now, the wonderful thing about this is that even though I didn't have a backup of the exact SD card that I had running the unit, I was able to download a fresh copy of the operating system, and I had the backup, so I was able to download that, write it to the card, boot the system up, restore the configuration, reboot the system, and I'm back up and running in 15-20 minutes, something like that, give or take. So if you plan ahead and make sure you get a backup, then that's great. You can be back up and running in a short period of time. Now, the next segment that I'm going to show you will be, let's say you have a fully operational card, SD card, and you want to be able to do a full image of that card, so you don't have to do multiple steps to get it back up and running again. You just pop the bad SD card out and pop the new one in. So I will stop this segment and get ready for the next set of steps here. So for this part of the video here, what I'm going to do is I've got my USB to micro USB adapter here. I plugged the SD card into that device. I'm going to plug it in the computer here. Notice it automatically populated drive D. So in this particular case, what I'm going to do, in the image file here, I'm going to create an image file, and I'm going to say WPSD hotspot full backup. And then I always like to put the date. And in this case, I'm going to put I believe you have to put a .img here, although this says it's going to pin it, but we will see. So we're going to hit open right here, and then we're going to say read only allocated partitions. That will help reduce the size of the backup that you're going to do. And we're going to click read right here. Now, what you'll notice is that this is going to take, and you can see the amount of time, it is counting the amount of time down, but in this case, it's still roughly 15 minutes. So in this particular case, I'm going to stop recording, and we'll come back as it gets closer to being done. So as you can see here, when we started earlier on at the beginning, it looked like it was going to finish in about 13.5 minutes, and now we're at almost 26 minutes here for it to finish up, and this is still reading the card itself. So once this finishes, then we can tell it to verify only. Read successful. Okay, now probably best to run a verify only on here. So that took about 26 minutes. Again, basically this is like making a bit image of that micro SD card that goes in the Raspberry Pi. What this allows you to do again is, let's say your Raspberry Pi goes down and you don't have access to the internet to download the latest image. You don't have access to a computer to write that image to a micro SD card to restore your backup. You can take the image of this working SD card, and you can just basically power down the unit, take the bad SD card out that's stuck on initializing, put the new SD card in, and then plug the unit back into power, and you should be back up and running literally within just a matter of just a few minutes, 2-3 minutes. So this looks like it's going to take about 10 minutes to verify. So at this point we'll stop the recording and we'll come back when it's closer to being done. Okay, as you can see, we're getting close to the end of the verify process. Now one would ask the question, well, why do I want to do this? Well, you've got a couple of choices. You can either wait till your card fails, and then you need a computer, you need the internet to download the latest image, you need the USB to micro SD card available, the adapter, you need a micro SD card, and you need a current backup. Okay, and so then you have that software installed, and you point it to the image that you had to download, and then you write that image to the card. Then you take the card out, you put it in your hotspot, you boot the thing up, then you restore your backup, then you update it, and then you reboot your device, and then you're back up and running to where you were before. This way, what this does is you're making a backup copy of a known good micro SD card. So instead of taking 15-20 minutes to have the thing back up and running, you literally take that SD card. So we're going to come back over here, and notice what I need to do is I need to eject this before I remove it from the computer. Then I take that micro SD card. Now what I've done is I've got a little case here, and I'm going to take that case and I'm going to put that micro SD card, I'm going to put it inside of that case. If I can get the case open. Oh, there we go. Taking it the wrong way. I'm going to take that SD card. I'm going to put that SD card right inside of there and close it up. And so now I've got a case here. It has a micro SD card in it, and I'm going to put that label on it so I know, hey, this is a working copy of for my WPSD hotspot, and I've got a date on there. So now, in order to get my hotspot back up and running, should I have a problem with it, I literally power the unit down, and then take the bad card out, plug this card in, plug it back into power, plug it back into Ethernet, boot the thing back up, and I'm back up and running. So instead of taking 15 or 20 minutes, now I've got a couple minutes, and I don't need a computer, I don't need the internet to download the file or anything like that. It's just back up and running. Now, one of the things I will point out is that Win32 Disk Imager is the only one of those 3 programs that I mentioned that I know of that will make this image copy. The other thing I want to point out to you is notice how big this image file is. It's 14.5 gig. So one of the things you can do if you need to reduce the disk size, whatever, is you can compress that file, and then you'll be able to use that file. So for example, if you did a .xz compression there on there, you could just use that file as is. Should you need to make another copy of that onto another SD card. But anyway, I hope that you found that this video has been helpful, useful to you to get the services on your WPSD hotspot back up and running. I want to say thank you for watching the channel today, and I hope that everyone, if you've got any questions, comments, please feel free to leave those there under the video. And we want to thank you for watching the Oily Crafter channel today. And we hope that you will like and subscribe to our channel. With that said, I'll say this is Greg, Alpha India 5 Hotel Victor, and we want to thank you for watching. Have a blessed day.